Depending if you're a Beis Shaimanik or a Beis Hillelnik, either half a Chag passed already, or we still have another half a Chag to go. But either way, Chag Sameach. Rav Brevder brings Al Nisim. He says, Al Nisim, the point of Al Nisim is to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the Nisim and Niflaot that He did for us in our nation. Question arises, so why do we start the Al Nisim mentioning Matityahu, Ben Yochanan, he's Hashmonai, and Baanov? Why are we mentioning everybody? And Rav Brevder says a Yisod, he says that if you can't bring yourself to appropriately thank people who are sacrificing themselves, then you can never bring yourself to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu appropriately. If you can't thank your parents for the supper they made for you, then you can't bench appropriately to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you can't thank your Rebbeim and your teachers and your siblings for the love and care and things that they do for you, then you can't thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu appropriately for the love and care and things that He does for us appropriately. Medrash tells us that V'yakom Melech Chadash, that there's a new king in Mitzrayim, Asher lo yadat Yosef, he didn't know Yosef. How did he know Yosef? What is that? Medrash says that if a person comes to deny the good things that people do for you, you'll come to deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chas v'Shalom. Like this new V'yakom Melech Chadash, this new king, he says, who is Hashem that I should listen to him? Because one who can't appropriately thank people, can't appropriately have a connection, a relationship, and appropriately thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So B'davka started off the Al Nisim, mentioning those who sacrificed their lives for our benefit to do the service of Hashem. We mentioned Matityahu, his father Yochanan, Hashmonaim, Ubanav, they all were involved. I heard from Rav Zev Lef, brings the Gemara Masechet Shabbat, two members from Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana, he says, remember, the Gemara says, the Ner Shel Chanukah Sheinicha Lemala Me'esrim Amma, if you put a Ner Chanukah more than 20 Ammas high, the Gemara says Psula, just like a Sukkah, just like a Mabui, Rashi brings the lack of Parsumi Nisa. Shmak. Another member of Rav Kahana, he darshans from the Torah, it says Haborek Ein B'mayim, that when the brothers, when the Shvatim, they sold Yosef, they threw him into a pit first. And the Torah tells us, Haborek Ein B'mayim. And the Gemara says, he just told me the bar is rek. Eini yodeh she'en b'mayim. Of course there's no water, he just said it's rek. So my Talmud lomar ein b'mayim. Why is it coming to tell me that there is no water? And the Gemara says, Mayim ein bo, aval nachashim ve'akravim yesh bo. But there are snakes and scorpions in the water. In the pit, sorry. Snakes and scorpions in the pit. So Frank the Kasha, why isn't the Torah just telling me that there's snakes and scorpions in the pit? You could even do it with less words. V'habor mole nachashim v'akravim. Why do you have to tell me habor rek ein bo mayim? It's just as many words. It's the same thing. You can make it even shorter. Why doesn't the Torah just tell me that? And he said a gorgeous yisod. He said that a Kadosh Baruch Hu makes something called a miracle. A purpose of a miracle is to get our attention, is to tell me something, to give me a message. What's that message? But if I don't chop the message, there's no point in the miracle. You see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the snake and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the scorpion. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made man. So the fact that the snakes and the scorpion didn't eat man is a ness. But that's no less of a ness than HaKadosh Baruch Hu making the snakes and the scorpion. Hashem said the oil should burn. Hashem said fire should light. Hashem could make it light for a day, for a week, for 10 months, as long as He wants. Hashem made a ness for 8 days for us to recognize something, to see something. A ness is to get our attention. If it doesn't get our attention, if we don't think about the message, then there was no point in the ness. And if anything, it's a gnai, not a shvach to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because when you're pointing out a ness, you're saying, wow, look what Hashem did. Look at this amazing thing Hashem did. But everything Hashem does is amazing. If anything, the ness just sticks out, but it's no less of a ness than anything else. The point of a ness is to tell us a message. The point of a ness, the reason for a ness, is to get our attention, and we should supposed to uncover a lesson that we're supposed to take into our life. That's what the ness is for. That's what a miracle is for. When the Shvatim threw Yosef in, there are two options. They either saw the snakes, or they didn't see the snakes. If they saw the snakes and threw him in, well, they sold him anyway, even if he stayed alive, so they didn't care. There's no lesson to be learned. If they didn't see the snakes, then they didn't see the snakes. There was no lesson to be learned. So even though a miracle happened, there was no reason for the Torah to tell us the miracle, because there's no point, because no lesson was learned. A nes is to teach you something. A nes is to reveal to you something, a lesson that you're supposed to take into your life. So we see there's a nes in Chanukah. So what's that message? What's the message we're supposed to take from Chanukah? The Yevanim wanted to be metame us. The Yevanim wanted to defile us, not kill us, not eradicate us. It didn't destroy the base of Mikdash. They were metame, they sullied, they defiled the base of Mikdash. It didn't get rid of all the oil. They were metame all the oil. No more Shabbos. They wanted the Kedusha out of our life. No more Bris Milah. They wanted the Kedusha out of our life. No more Rosh Chodesh. They didn't want a Kedusha in our life. On Chanukah, we light 8 candles, 8 days, Keneged Bris Milah. Chanukah, every Chanukah is going to go through at least one Shabbos. Chanukah always goes through a Rosh Chodesh. The Yevanim are not taking away our Kedusha. They're not getting rid of us. We say, Hashem, you made a nes for us. Giborim beyad me'atim. Beyad chalashim, the mighty in the hands of the weak. Rabim beyad me'atim, the many and the few. Tmeim beyad tehorim. Tzadikim biyad, Rishayim biyad tzadikim. I understand the first part. The first part is very clear to me. It's a big miracle that the many conquered, the few conquered the many. It's a big miracle. It's a big nest that the few conquered the many. It's a big nest that the mighty were defeated by the weak. It's a big nest. But where's this rule that the Tahirim always have to lose and the Tmeim always win? Where's this rule that Rishayim conquer and Tzadikim lose? What is that? Why is that part of the nes? I don't understand. Just because a person's a tzaddik, so he's vayde going to lose, and one guy's a rush, he's vayde going to win. Why do we have to say that? That Rishayim biyat tzadikim, Tmeim biyat tehirim. Why is that part of the nes? I understand 5 guys beating 1,000,000. Oh, great! It's a big nes. I understand where you have mighty warriors versus a few weak guys. It's a great nes, but Tmeim biyat tehirim, Zedim biyat osket tavatecha. Rishayim biyat tzadikim. Why? Why is that? And the answer is that's not the nes. It's afal piken. It's the reason for the nes. You see, in Al Nisim we mention Gadol 4 times by Chanukah. By the Al Nisim of Purim we don't mention it at all. Why is that? Why don't we mention it at all? Because on Chanukah, Gadol means something very special to us. Not like the Gadol that you think of size, but Gadol means quality, not quantity. When we say a Kohen Gadol, we don't mean he was a big physical person. We say Gadol, we mean the quality Shabo. Rav Moshe was very short. Rav Stein was very short. Gadol doesn't mean size, it means quality. It means the quality Shabadavar. Hakel HaGadol, we don't talk about Hashem's size, it's about the quality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A Gadol should be Yisrael, a Kohen Gadol. These things are quality, not quantity. A little bit of pure oil will do you a lot of good, and a lot of tameh, impure oil will do absolutely nothing for you. The menorah was gorgeous. The menorah was huge. It was a solid chunk of gold, hammered out with cups and flowers and designs. It was stunning. Without a little bit of pure oil, it's absolutely meaningless. There's no kavanah, there's no purpose for it. There's no siba for it. What does it do for me? I can't use it for anything. It needs to have that little bit of tahara inside. Ruchnis and Gashmis go very well together. But whenever there's a conflict, whenever they don't get along, whenever you have to choose one over the other, it has to be the Ruchni, not the Gashmi. Sfarim bring down, you should put a little bit of water in the oil to show that afal piken, we need mayim and we need shemen. We need to have both together. We need chokhmah and we need Torah kedosha. But whenever there's a conflict, it's always the oil goes on top. The oil goes first. The shemen goes first. We'll be zeichet to have a lichtik Chanukah, to use our fire and our passion and our koyach, to light up the night, to light up the darkness, to fill lives with kedusha and tahara, to be a shining light unto all the nations of the world. Chag Sameach.